Hey everybody, it's Jim from Jim's Coleus. Okay, I'm going to do another video, obviously. Here I am. Hope everybody's well. I know my channel is primarily Jim's Coleus. For those of you who subscribe to me, please accept my apologies. I do occasionally like to throw some videos out. I know I just did one yesterday on my Corvette. I don't have two YouTube channels. I really don't want to start another one. So I just throw out occasionally some videos. Yesterday, obviously, I posted a video on fixing an air conditioning unit on my Corvette. Okay, but anyway, we're back. Those of you subscribed for Coleus, we're going to keep it Coleus. As the season progresses, we're going to get more and more into Coleus. I'm going to try my best to make it as simple as possible. The things that I've done over the years, that if you look through all my videos, how I've been pretty successful at making really, really nice, beautiful Coleus arrangements. And that's what the means. The end is all these germinations that I grow, the 500-600. Eventually, they're going to end up in pots, hanging baskets, beautiful arrangements either around my house or at a farmer's market. So today I'm going to do two things. I haven't posted anything on my rootings, how they're going, and if you've missed my previous videos on how to take care of rootings, you can learn something and follow along. I cut these rootings back in August, late September. And it's still going strong. I think I had about 20 rootings, maybe 15. I lost 2. So, there's a chance that your rootings won't do well. I'll show you basically what I do to keep them going. So, without further ado, let's get to it. I'll show you my rootings, where I keep them, what I do every few days to keep them going strong. And people ask me, well, what do you do with your rootings? I eventually pot all of my rootings. They either go in planters around my property, or smaller ones I may put into small decorative pots, and I'll let them go at the farmer's market. But I love rootings. I have these little windows, which I'm going to show you. Where they look beautiful there, and you can keep them going for months and months and months on end. You can overwinter your rootings, but there's a way to do it, and the only way you're gonna make sure your rootings last is to follow my channel. Okay, so let's get to it, and thanks again for watching, and let's go and let's get into some Coleus. Okay, so here we are. These are basically 3, obviously, windows in my living room. I designed this living room when I had my addition done, and I wanted a nice, open, airy living room with a high ceiling, lots of air, lots of light, so I can keep planting. And I have my cactus, Boston fern, some of my junk, and these beautiful windows, which I keep my rootings. And I get these little colored bud vases at the dollar store. And they're nice. They're perfect for rootings. You see they come in different colors. And they're really, really nice. And I have a couple of other ones. If I see something at an antique store, I'll pick it up if something grabs my eye. But I have so many of them. But as you can see, these are rootings that have been with me for since August, September, and they're doing just great. And the reason why, we'll get into, show you a couple more here. Got a Saturn, there's a Jitters, that's a Japanese maple, and if you could see, I'm really excited about, there's a seed stalk coming in. That's good news. So I'm going to let that go until the seed stalk matures, and hopefully I'll keep it going, and we'll be able to maybe get this outside where we can get some insect pollination going, which is really great. Here's some Lord Voldemort, couple more jitters. Another variation of jitters. Jitters are great Coleus for hanging baskets. I mentioned that in some of my videos. They're thin, slender leaves are perfect for hanging baskets. I usually put them on one side, and they just by nature of how thin and elongated they are, and they just drape down, and they look perfect in hanging baskets. And the colors change in different ones are just remarkable. They're really nice. And finally, black stockings. So again, the best advice I can give you for rootings, if you've listened to my channel before, you've been following, you know where I'm going right now, is change your water every few days, couple of days, especially if you keep them in an area that's going to get some sun. It can get kind of slimy or whatever, but you won't get that if you keep rinsing your water out. Change your water out, gently rinse the roots. And let's go over by the sink, and I'll show you really quick how I do that. And then you have to really be careful with your water. Gentle, if you have a little sprayer, gentle. Don't make your water ice cold. Don't make it hot. Try to get it to what you think is room temperature. And you're not gonna rinse it forever. You're not gonna rinse everything off. You just want to gently rinse any debris and gently rinse out the containers and refill with water. So let's go over by the sink, and I'll show you real quick how I do it. Okay, here we go. All right, excuse my sink. Hey, look, I'm a homeowner. I work hard. I spend a lot of time cleaning up my house, keeping wash, food shopping, work. I work nights. My wife owns a business, very busy. For purposes of my videos, I'm gonna keep my sink a little messy because I'm just like you guys. Anyway, we don't need to clean up the sink to make the video look perfect. That's not me. Anyway, here we go. Again, adjust your water. See how it's coming out there? Just a trickle. Adjust it a little warm. Room temperature, because you don't want to shock your roots. And then hopefully you have a sprayer. If you don't have a sprayer, then just use the water here. So, but basically, you have your rooting. I'm gonna just, for the purpose of the video, rather than have to go back and forth with this here, you have your rooting. As you can see, you have your root ball, and it's pretty complex. Actually, I just rinsed this before, so you're gonna see some debris. It's just natural. Leaves fall off, debris gets in the root ball. Try to rinse that debris out very gently. That's a little warm. Very gently rinse your root ball. Don't really disturb it with your hand much. If you see a piece of debris, rinse out your container. Okay, that's better. That's more room temperature. Rinse out your container. Make sure there's nothing in there, no mold or anything. Rinse out your container. Rinse your root ball. And make sure all your roots get back in. And I don't fill it to the very top. Because you can see the higher the water level, the more your roots are going to be growing out of the container. Let's shut this off here. We don't need the water running all day. I keep it about here. I'm going to rinse a little out, but it evaporates very fast. So I keep it that high, and you can see I'm not really concerned. I have some new growth coming in. I just cut a couple of. You're going to get them. Your leaves may die, so you could trim them here and there. But I'm getting new growth coming in, which is really great, and I'm not worried. Look at that nice root ball. That's a huge root ball. And let's see, maybe we'll put a little more light on here. There we go. That's a little better. That's a nice root ball. And this is going to go into a pot. This is going to go into a really deep planter, and it's going to do fine. So, very important, let's go around here. All right. Very important to rinse your cuttings. Rinse the root balls of the cuttings. Go by, and I do this every 2 or 3 days. And you got to really be consistent with it, especially, again, like I said, if your rootings are getting some sunlight. I just cut a few leaves off of this black stocking. They were turning color, they were dying, so I trimmed them, but it's still very healthy. Look at the color on that. Those are really neat. And this is from a mother plant that I bought 2 years ago, huge. And I finally got some seeds, and we're going to go over now to my trays, and I'll show you how they're going. But I managed to get some seeds, and last year I got seeds, but they weren't viable. They just weren't mature enough, and they didn't germinate. This year I was lucky. I got about 50 seeds, and it looks like all of them germinated, so I'm excited to see how the offspring is out of these. So let's go over by the trays, and if you have any questions on rooting, please, obviously feel free. Any questions, comments? Again, if you have pictures, Instagram or Facebook Messenger, you can shoot me some photos, and I'll get right back to you. So let's go over and take a look at my how the cuttings are going, how the pots are going, and you'll be amazed. Okay, so purpose of the video, I lowered the shade because that's just gonna wash out the back. So you can see they're really doing well. What I wanted to do is show you the best way to water these. If you have this many Coleus, I recommend you get a little pump sprayer, and I'll show you that pump sprayer in a minute. If you only have a few, you can use a little mini watering can. I have one of those too, but let's go and take a look, and I'll show you how I water these plants. Okay, so I just brought one tray out just for purpose of the video. You can see they're really doing well here. So, and you hear my spoiler rat Yorkie in the background, Newton. Okay, so here we go. This is the pump sprayer I was telling you about. Get that at the dollar store. They're real cheap, but they don't last. You may get a year out of them. I have a commercial sprayer in my greenhouse that I use once the season starts kicking in. And then here's your regular watering can. So anyway, how I water my Coleus, and Coleus don't need to be watered every single day. Even if they're sitting in the sun, they will, especially if you're using Miracle Grow moisture retention soil, they don't need to be watered every day. I generally water every other day or so. And I could tell, you can see there's some dryness there. So I'm going to wait, but for purpose of the video, I'll just give this one a shot. So just these pump spray, I pump them very lightly. I don't want a lot of pressure, and I basically, these things adjust to a spray or stream. I have a little stream, and whoop, that's more of a spray. We don't want a spray. We want more of a stream, and just gently around the perimeter of the soil. Not a lot, just a little bit. Some people ask, do you spray water on the Coleus? See, you got a little bit on the leaves. Do you spray the Coleus leaves? Generally, people don't recommend you spray your leaves with tap water, because tap water has chemicals in it, calcium, lime. Everybody's water is different, and generally when the water dries or evaporates, it it'll actually leave spots. So I don't recommend you spray the Coleus on a regular basis. So you want to make sure you give it enough water. You don't saturate the soil. I like to spray around the perimeter of the plant, but I like to get all of the soil because I have some time release fertilizer pellets there. So I like to get all of the soil watered. And again, every other day or so. And that's important because you don't want to saturate your soil because you'll definitely rot your roots out, especially when they're this young. And also, you do want to make sure you give them enough water because you want the roots to go outward looking for water. So that's why I like to water all of the soil because it's going to make your root system seek water like grass. You want to water deep so the roots grow deep, and then you have that gives you a nice, strong, disease-free plant with a nice, strong, deep root structure, which means a nice, strong, healthy, deep-rooted plant. And they'll do much better, especially if you're planting them outside, directly in the soil. Then you're going to have a nice anchored, well-anchored Coleus. So, one other side note, if you do eventually plant your Coleus outdoors, do not use the mulch, the cedar mulch. It's poisonous to Coleus, so don't use cedar mulch when you're planting your Coleus. A lot of people do it, and it's actually poisonous to the Coleus, and they generally won't live, or they'll get disease prone, and so forth. I mean, cedar mulch is nice. It looks great, smells nice, and it keeps insects away in a bit. But you can do other things to prevent that. So don't use the cedar mulch. Okay, so I hope this helps out. For those of you who want to know how to water your Coleus, remember every other day or so, water all of the soil. Make sure you get some around the perimeter of the stem. Don't saturate it though, but make sure you give it enough water that the roots have, you get all of the soil moist enough. Here's the rest of them. They're all at different stages. Other problems you may run into, and I have, and you can see right here. Some of them may look a little raggy. You may get some leaves that just don't look like they're making it. Just snip them off. Like I'm going to snip that one. I cut that, fell off. I cut it. Snip it off. You can see that one I snipped off. Cut if you have any damaged or wilting, not wilting as much as just leaves that don't look very healthy, ripped maybe, just cut them. It's not going to hurt the plant. If anything, it's going to be like pruning it. It's going to promote the growth. So do I go through pruning at this stage? No, right now I don't. The only time I really prune would be, again, for leaves that are damaged. But right now, my main priority is to make sure that these are rotated back and forth from level to level and watered every other day. Check, I don't have any insect problems that's inside, and really, here we go. So some peppers, and there's some real young ones inside the greenhouse. So okay, so any questions or comments, please leave them at the end of the video. And thanks for following along. My Yorkie's really in rare form today. And we'll stay tuned for another video in another week or so. Thanks for following Jim's Holiest Coleus, and let's say goodbye to Newton. Yes. Yes. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.